I don't blame her. I mean, if I was off with someone that I've never met before and I didn't speak the language very well, I think I'd want to have that interpreter at least, for the first hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, until I felt really comfortable with that person before I decide just to walk away with him, because it would be harder to get to know him, obviously, if I wasn't going to be able to communicate. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about dating etiquette and respect. I think it's wonderful that they're willing to go out and meet men that they've never really written any letters to, or maybe just a couple, but based on our phone call and our reputation, they'll come to the office, they'll go out on the dates, and they'll get to know the different men that are over there to see if there's any chemistry, any interest. And I think that's wonderful that they're willing to do that. But when you do go out on the date, I think that, you as being the man and you going over there, that you do need to be mindful of the fact that you're in a different country, that you're in a different culture, that the women are not used to the English language, that you're going to have an interpreter that'll be helping you in some cases, not all cases. In some cases, the women speak very well English, and that's great. And you can go out and in most cases, you don't need an interpreter, but in some cases, you will need an interpreter. And if you do, that's a little bit of a different feeling on a date. Some guys can be just fine with that other person, and some guys are much more inhibited by it. So you kind of have to understand that, especially on the first date. I think that if the woman doesn't speak English or speaks poor English, that an interpreter is important because, number one, obviously you need communication to see if there is much chemistry there. I mean, you can tell a little bit by body language, obviously. You can tell a lot by body language, but you still need that communication, that verbal communication, to see if there is going to be a meeting of the minds, to see if there is a chemistry, and an interpreter is going to help that. And also, I think the interpreter will help the woman feel a little bit more at ease. I mean, if you're going to go on a date outside of the office, you're going to go someplace, maybe to a park or a restaurant or something like that, she's going to feel more nervous, never knowing you, not being able to communicate very well. But if there's an interpreter there, I think that she will. Does that mean that you always have to have that interpreter with you? No. But normally, during the first date, the first couple hours, I think it's important to have the interpreter there to help just break all the barriers down, break the ice, and make sure that both parties are comfortable with each other. Recently we had a client that, wanted to send the interpreter away after a very short time, whatever it was, 20, 30 minutes, and walk off with the woman alone, and was upset that the woman really didn't want to do that. Quite frankly, I don't blame her. I mean, if I was off with someone that I've never met before and I didn't speak the language very well, I think I'd want to have that interpreter at least, for the first hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, until I felt really comfortable with that person before I decide just to walk away with him, because it would be harder to get to know him, obviously, if I wasn't going to be able to communicate. So those kind of things I think you need to keep in mind when you're going to do international dating. Again, some of the women do speak English, and this is for people who are serious about trying to find that one person that they can spend the rest of their life with. And so it doesn't really matter if there's a chaperone on the first date, so that the woman's comfortable and that you can communicate better because everybody is much more comfortable. So those are the kind of etiquette things I think that are important to think about when you go out on dates. And I think, you want to try and find, the common ground with the woman, go to places that she'd like to go as well. Just like, there's much more options to, spending more time alone. And, even if you don't speak the same language, you can communicate quite a bit in other ways. And there's nothing wrong with that. But first there has to be a little bit of trust built up, and you have to feel comfortable with each other for that to take place. All right.
You can find thousands of stunning, sincere single women serious about finding love and the perfect man for them. Join men from all over the world as they take a trip and find their future brides. Interested? Learn more at cali-women.com. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Then click on the notice bell to get notified every time we add something new.